Ryan, Councillor Edwards and Councillor Wilcock.
In terms of any declarations of interest? Nope. So I'm planning to take, before I go to the minutes, the public speakers after I've gone through the minutes and matters arising. So we'll take police unit first, then citizens' advice, and then I'm planning to take Macclesfield means business, the third public speaker, if that's okay with fellow councillors. Super. So minutes of last meeting, are we content with minutes of a record?
So moved.
Seconded by Councillor Hutchinson, and we'll close on that. Right. Okay, so approved. Are there any matters arising from the minutes that aren't in today's agenda?
Can I abstain?
Sorry,
Yeah, I want to
apologies.
abstain as well.
Apologies, abstentions from Councillor Bennerby and Councillor Gilman. I'm off, I'm running. They're too fast. I'm going to take the local police unit first, but before we do that, just I think, so the Sergeant Devon Ayres, hope I got that right.
That's right.
Who's part of the Wilmslow Police Unit, who's kindly come along and update us tonight. Just fellow councillors, that's kind of, and I think just to note that Chief Inspector Sarah Driscoll is moving on in the new year, and we do have a replacement for her. So we'll welcome the replacement to the Chief when she arrives. Can't actually remember.
Zoe, and I think she's been in touch with most councillors. Yeah, we've had the email, yeah.
Right, so that's please.
Carol Davenor, I'm Beat Sergeant over usually covering Winslow. I've been asked to come in today just in replacement of Chief Inspector Sarah Driscoll. So there's been a number of police operations that have taken place since the last meeting, two of which have taken place at Macclesfield Railway Station. And this operation, both of them consisted of deploying with drugs dogs, and that was in conjunction with the British Transport Police as well. So the first one that took place on the 2nd of October 2024. There was a bit more activity there than there was in the November deployment. In October we found that we had about 40 stop searches were conducted between ourselves and British Transport Police. We issued 6 community resolutions and 3 people were charged with drugs offences, weapons offences and breach of CBOs. We found that this operation was widely supported by the general public and we got quite a bit of positive feedback from that. The second one took place on the 20th of November. 2 passive drugs dogs were deployed. The objective of the operation was to make Cheshire a hostile environment for all criminals coming into the Macclesfield area. A number of people were stopped and served, no arrests were made, but we did give out a clear message that we won't be tolerating any criminal activity in this region. On the 13th of November 2024, we issued a warrant, and that was in relation to crossbow and drugs. So this warrant was executed at an address in Macclesfield, and that was as a result of a number of intelligence reports coming in that there was drugs and crossbow firing in and around that address. So the police had received a number of reports from members of the public saying they'd been shot at randomly by a crossbow, and crossbow bolts were recovered embedded in housing doors and on persons' drags, and a building site had to close due to bullets being fired at workmen. The warrant was successful in that it resulted in the arrest of 2 people. A search of the premises was conducted where officers seized drugs, cash, criminal property to the value of around £17,000 and 4 high-powered crossbows with crossbow bolts, 1 gas-powered air pistol, an air rifle and a variety of other weapons including a knuckle duster and an axe were located in the same unit as one of the suspects. As a result of this intelligence-led operation, there was 1 person charged and remanded into custody. We have a number of upcoming operations in and around the Christmas period. The main one being Operation Jingles. I'm sure you are aware of Jingles that we run every year. during the Christmas period whilst they were enjoying themselves. It'll run from, it's running now, it started on the 30th of November and that'll run up until the 2nd of January. And that period consists of the Christmas lights switch on at Macclesfield Town Centre and the Christmas markets as well, right through to the new year. And essentially what we'll do there is we'll deploy extra patrols, and they will deploy in and around key areas, such as where the nighttime economy will take place, and we will be supported by some of our specialist units, such as our road traffic unit. Just an update on the crime statistics from the 1st of October to the 1st of December. So there was 735 crime reports in October, 746 in November, 30 burglary dwellings reported in October and 21 in November, 6 commercial burglaries reported in October and 11 in November, 280 crimes involving violence against the person were reported in October and 318 in November, 44 vehicle crimes reported in October and 44 in November, 133 theft crimes consisting of retail theft and theft from motor vehicle were reported to us in October and 138 in November. Drugs offences, there was 169 reported in October and 158 reported in November, and that's the update around the crime statistics for LPU.
Thank you for that. Questions, councillors? Councillor Hutchison.
Yeah, I just wondered of the violent offences, do you know what proportion of those are domestic?
It doesn't say, it says for the violence against the person it consists of assault, stalking and threats to kill, but it doesn't give me a breakdown of what was domestic and what wasn't, it's just too young. But I can find out. I can let you know if you want to give me your email address or whatever.
Yes.
Actually.
Councillor Benwick.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask if there's been a particular rise in crime with vehicle motor theft. There was a car stolen on the estate the other day where I think the driver had gone in to get something and someone had jumped in the car and driven away, and I think it's really important we emphasise this time of year when we're all busy shopping or unloading gifts that we're just careful about that.
Yeah. I mean, from the stats that I can see here, there hasn't been a massive increase from November to October. We've got 133, 138. That's all kind of like collated together to include thefts and theft from motor vehicles, so I don't have an exact breakdown on the crimes that you're referencing. But in terms of vehicle crime generically, 44 both months, so I'm not sure if there's an increase or not. I can't, just from the stats that I got, I can't see that, but it seems to be quite consistent there.
Any other questions, councillors? So, in that case, can I thank you for the report? Appreciate you coming. What I probably would want to suggest in part of the council, given the council, Chief Inspector of Driscoll will be moving on, is to thank her. I think there's been a lot of better cooperation, a lot more information coming to the council in recent months, a lot more engagement with councillors, which we really appreciate. And we've seen issues like starting with all the traffic and parking around the football club.
Yes.
Not finished yet.
No, but it's definitely improving.
Definitely improving, so I'd probably like to pass on thanks, Chief Inspector. Thanks to you for coming today.
Thank you so much.
Really appreciate it. So, after that, I'm going to take the citizen, sorry, I'm going to take the CCTV as part of the agenda. Mr. Will, citizen advice.
Yes, indeed. I'm Will McKellar. I'm the Chief Officer of Citizen Vice Cheshire North, which has its main office in Macclesfield. And I hopefully you've all had sight of the 3-monthly report. Unfortunately, because the way just historically really, the reports overlapped with previous reports for the initial months, but hopefully it gives sufficient information and sufficient outline of the kind of work that we're doing. I would have mentioned before that sometimes we see ebb and flows in the numbers and the kind of issues that we deal with, sometimes for no apparent reason, but there are seasonal reductions that we see, usually around summer, and that may be you know, either people have got children at home, therefore they're less likely to be able to access the service. And on the run up to Christmas, we invariably see a significant reduction the closer we get. With that in mind, just looking at the numbers from the current report and the previous report, there was a net reduction of 51 clients from 853 to 802. That's unique clients. Clients we often see more than once, and a reduction in the issues of 96. And that's the problems, if you like. Somebody who maybe lost a job, we'll be helping them with employment, welfare benefits, debt, a number of different issues, and that's reduced from 1,830 to 1,704. But like I say, sometimes there's no rhyme or reason for things, but the amount of increased income that we've been able to achieve for local clients rose from 475,000 to 509,000. So with fewer clients, we're still having a positive financial benefit on clients' lives. I've no doubt there's probably a little bit of different ways of recording in that, because we've got a few new advisors, and when people are new, they're super perky and keen, and so they may be recording everything, but that's an indicator of the kind of impact that we're having. And also, if you see from the report, the notable increase is in the number of clients that we have with debt issues. That's risen from 137 in the previous report to 222. So all the other numbers, although there's a net reduction, they're kind of ballpark figure, kind of things that we would expect. And I would expect in the new year for the numbers to begin to increase. Regrettably, maybe February, March time, the debt issues. Regrettably, that's another trend that we generally see. As far as the developments, I'm not sure whether I referenced it in the report, but we in the new year started a service to coincide with Church of the Resurrection, the food pantry. So we've working with CBS. We've been able to get a little bit of money, so we'll be able to allocate a dedicated advisor to operate there and see whether or not, as well as the pantry, managing the food problems that local people are having, that we can also get involved and support some of the causal issues. Although having said that, the reality for a great many people is that even maximised income isn't meeting their minimum life expenditure, particularly around utilities, and that is something I've mentioned before. We currently deliver a service supporting families, young families, because again it can be difficult for people who've got young children to be able to access our core service. So we've been able to secure some additional funding so we can expand and open that up. We initially had 12 months pilot, and that worked really well, particularly in Macclesfield, particularly in Ash Grove. So we're going to kind of roll that out. A little bit more service in Macclesfield, but we're looking at some of the other venues in the geographical spread that we cover. I guess the final thing would be Councillor Edwards isn't here, but he did come to our Christmas party that you all were invited to. But you sent Councillor Edwards as a representative, and he was he was the closest thing to Father Christmas, as he kept saying. So that it was much appreciated that he took the trouble to come on. What was a cold and pretty grim night. So I guess in sum, if there's anything you'd like to see in future reports, please let me know. I'm happy to interrogate the copious amounts of data that we do collect. Want it to be relevant for yourselves. And of course, if there's any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Thank you. Well, maybe I can't give up that Councillor Edwards is a fine role model for some people. Right. Any questions, Councillor Hutchinson?
Yeah, I just wondered how many people you've been able to help with pension credit applications, because I couldn't see it in the report.
Yeah, I think in the previous report, I made the point that prompted by the council, we ran an event here and then subsequent events promoting pension credit, and then on the back of that, we ran an event in Bollington to try and encourage The number is something that we're going to have to keep on in the new year. The actual numbers that we have of people coming in independently, inquiring about pension credit, and with that maybe with fuel allowance, is pretty static. So when we do the events, we're engaged, we're catching people who wouldn't we be catching otherwise, but the people who are coming in, if on their own initiative, that's pretty much the same. So we're seeing comparable numbers, which is a shame because we know there's a lot of money and a lot of households that are not playing it. And what that means is, of course, those if you live in a household that you're entitled to family pension credit and you're not receiving it, then you're living in sub-poverty income levels. But another thing that we know is that client group all have just to get on with it.
I know it may not be a question for you, but do you know of any groups other than the town council and yourselves who are actually proactive in seeking out people who may
I know,
have a good idea?
I know Peaks and Plains have been proactive. I know Age UK have been proactive. So yeah, I think there's a number of different organisations locally, and we've been looking to work, link in with them. And I know it's not Macclesfield, but Bridgend Centre in Bolton, they're looking to run an independent event as well. I think when those events run, and again, the model is really the one that was promoted by the council, is when we have a number of different organisations, because then people aren't coming just to talk about pension credit, they'll be coming to see somebody around their blood pressure, for example. If we've got someone from one of the wellbeing events, or coming to speak to Peaks and Plains about a housing issue. So there are a number, but one of the two that would jump to my mind would be Age UK and Peaks and Plains.
Councillor Benwick.
Yeah, I can certainly vouch for that. Peaks and Plains of the leafleted I've had residents and meetings in Airdfield where they specifically promoted that, and there's also been adverts on the telly. Have you had any more there's been the case study that you've got, is this a typical case study of people actually in danger of losing their home? I know we've discussed before about no fault evictions, that's hopefully gone now. Having people struggling with mortgage payments?
Yeah. Undoubtedly. I could get the breakdown and I could share it with Laura if you wanted to have a look, because that's the breakdown around debt, on how much of it is housing and how much is its owner occupier debt. I can certainly get those figures, but all the issues relating to housing shortage, certainly shortage of affordable housing, that's really affordable housing, but also indeed people struggling to make payments around mortgage, and also, and again something we've talked about before, private sector rents. Because a few years ago, one of the things I was talking about is that's a shrinking pool. Some people are selling their properties. That means you've got if anything, a net increase in demand. It brings prices up. So that means you've got even more people not able to access affordable housing. But that's nothing that you all don't know.
And in the sort of, I don't know if the Citizens Advice have a sort of a ballpark figure of what an affordable house would be to the type of people that your clients, because I think what the national average is for an affordable house, whether rented or bought, is quite different to the clients that you see and the people that we meet, is something quite different. Do you have a sort of a view of what would be an affordable, say, weekly rent?
I don't, because for us, what we'd be looking to factor in is the living costs, the cost of heating, and those heating specifically, or utilities. That makes a big difference. Probably cobble something together for you again if you choose, but no, we don't work on a set figure. But what I would say is that people in receipt of, let's say, means tested benefits who are in a social housing, which means that their rent generally would be covered in total. The income that they get from means tested benefits. On the whole, it doesn't meet their essential expenditure.
And even those people who are working, they're still struggling with their mortgages.
That's right, yeah. But I think there's a strata of people who are above that level who just maybe are getting on with it or are struggling or are a time bomb waiting to blow up in the future because maybe they're falling short on their monthly payments. So yeah.
And what would you say the answer to that would be? Sorry.
I'm not a fan of universal benefits. However, I am a fan of welfare benefits that are realistic and are indexed to ability to actual costs. Many years ago, when I was a student, I actually studied social policy, and the little bit of wisdom that my professor used to say is that welfare benefits were a historical figure that was plucked out of the air in 1940 or whenever it was, plus increments. So it was never actually founded, even to a degree with Ian Duncan Smith's reorganisation 10, 15 years ago. It's not really indexed to real-time living costs. So that's the challenge, really. But that costs.
Yeah, thank you.
Other questions? So I think from listening, quite like to explore that question of debt and housing costs, if one can provide that.
Put that down as an action.
It's helpful that social rent is 50% of market rent. It's normal rent, it's controlled by government. So housing associations are required to abide by a rent policy set by government. So currently that's CPI plus 1%. And that, over the last 10 years, that's only been applied 5 of the last 10 years. There was 4 years worth of reduction and then 1 year it was capped. So it's stripped a lot of capacity to build housing into the system. It's helpful to give you that background because clearly I live that every day.
Well, I see really well.
You done with me?
I have the council thanks for you and your staff for all the
Okay.
work done over the course of this year. As it is a impact on our residents. If councillors are content, I'm going to take the Matt's Who Loves Business item now, which is item 13. Mr Jones to speak to us, I think. Let me come along, clap, it's 3 minutes. Which is very strict.
I know very well. Good evening. Thank you for having some time today to listen to what I've got to say on Macclesfield Means Business and some funding for a bid feasibility study. The funding we're seeking is £8,320 plus VAT, which is for a full feasibility study for consideration as to whether a bid is appropriate for the town centre of Macclesfield. My own experience is I have been a bid director for Stockport Business Improvement District for 5 years. I've let that go 3 years ago, and I'm now on the board of the Wilmslow Business Improvement District, so I've got a reasonable amount of experience running and being involved with them. In the last 18 months, we've been meeting with various stakeholders, businesses and officers in this room to talk about whether a bid proposal for the town centre of Macclesfield is appropriate. And as we've slowly gained momentum, we felt that we would go to a review of a number of businesses to be shortlisted down to 2, one being a company called Mosaic and the other being Groundworks. We did then a session with both of those businesses with stakeholders involved. We then had a scrutiny session with those individuals who represented that business, and from that, having taken the soundings from those meetings, we then took it to the MMB board, founders group, and we selected Mosaic as the preferred bidder to then take it for a funding proposal. There are many business improvements that are thriving in Stockport, Wilmslow, more recently Crewe, and historically Altrincham. They have generated increased footfall, and they have generated also a more safer and secure environment for a town centre. We've seen new businesses come into Wilmslow, that since the Business Improvement District has been started, We've seen our most recent one of those being Jo Malone Perfumes, Arlo and Jacob Furniture, and Pinarello Cycles, all premium brands who have commented and come to the meetings and expressed their feedback to say a bid was part of that reason that they came here, as well as the net sort of affluence of this area. The feasibility will look at the financial analysis, boundary analysis, and further consultation with stakeholders, including businesses, retailers, third sector, and other parts of the community. We will then produce a report on the findings and we'll present that to the Town Council and other interested parties. The next step for a business improvement district would then probably be a 12-month period of engagement, further engagement, as to whether that is appropriate to take place forward. The next stage is in the region of about £65,000. In Stockport, this was funded from a loan from the Town Council in Stockport to the Business Improvement District for the first year, which was then paid back once the Business Improvement District started and refunded back. So it's a no-cost option. In Wilmslow, the Town Council funded it completely. The latest one to go for a feasibility study with the same company that we're choosing is Knutsford. So Knutsford now have already decided to go ahead with a proposal for a feasibility study. That study has been produced, and the outcome from that is they are looking to commence. I'll finish my report. Thank you. I could go on for hours. Sorry.
Thank you for that. I think so. Clearly there's a detailed report with that you've got. Clearly you just have the rationale laid out before you. I'm going to take questions, councillors.
Yes.
We've paid for feasibility studies in the past that have cost around £2,000. Right,
Yeah, you said.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they weren't very successful. Over £8,000 seems to me to be a lot of money just to find out if people are interested in something. Some things that the Town Council already do quite successfully. What do we get for that money?
You get various sessions with the representatives who will come over a 3-month period and assess with a number of stakeholders, particularly the large retailers who will be contributing the most amount to a business improvement district. So they have to canvass a number of those large retailers within a proposed bid area, and also they'll be wanting to work with the independents to make sure that anything that's formulated will be also being approved by them. So it does take quite a bit of feet on the ground, I suppose, to generate that report.
And when you say representatives, you mean
Yes.
employees from
Yeah, there's-
Mosaic?
There's 2 individuals, a chap called Mo Aswat, who was the founder of Mosaic, and the other person is a lady called Elizabeth Faulkner. And Elizabeth Faulkner did the work on the Altrincham Business Improvement District, one of the first successful ones in this area.
So it's basically to pay for consultants then?
It is, yes, that's right.
Thank you.
Councillor Wilson?
Yes, thanks, Matt. Looking at the report and the request for the funding,
Yes.
on the page where we're talking about the MMB board believe the aims of the bid fit with several strands of Maxfield Town Council strategic plan.
Yes.
I'm not seeing immediately how this is any more than what we're doing already as a town council. And you're talking about bids in other different locations. But I personally feel, from my experience of different towns in the area, that we're very much ahead of the game in Macclesfield as a town council in terms of what we are doing. So what is the actual added value that independents and larger retailers would get from actually having a bid in a business information district in the first place?
Firstly, I think Laura and Abby do a wonderful job in Macclesfield with the amount of events they run. And when I've been meeting them in consultations, the primary concern going forward to amplify this further is the lack of resource and funding. And that's what this would bring to the Macclesfield Town Centre community, would be a similar level of funding, perhaps at Wilmslow. Wilmslow operates at 1.5% of rateable value, and generates £275,000 per annum, which is over £1 million in 5 years, to assist in promotions, improved social media presentation, with perhaps a little bit more pizzazz to it, shall we say. It's more slick with videos, and I think it's been recognised by colleagues that are here today that is possibly a way forward.
Yeah, we pride ourselves in our events in
They're
Macclesfield
fantastic.
and them being free.
Yeah.
I completely agree they are fantastic. But my ward, Macclesfield South, is one of the most deprived wards in the whole of the country.
Yeah.
And residents talk to me about the work we've been doing to provide free events.
Yeah.
Kids love the face painters.
They do.
We provide free buses into town for any event we're doing. We have events all during the summer. I couldn't see anything in the documentation, so I'm sure you'll point it out if I've missed it, but are the events that we're talking about here, are they still going to be free?
They have been free in Stockport and in Wilmslow. The wonderful events like the 1261 Festival, MacPow and others. I think there is a uniqueness in Macclesfield. I think that's what's come across from our consultation, is the community doesn't want to see a rubber stamping of something from Altrincham or Wilmslow in Macclesfield, and they want greater engagement and I suppose initiatives to be able to shape and form that into something that's unique for Macclesfield going forward, so it's not just a clone of another town's bid.
Councillor Howard.
Thank you so much. Do you say that all the towns that you have named have gained from your work for themselves?
Yes.
And are we saying here that all your efforts will be concentrated just in the town?
Yeah, if I may. Yeah, it's mainly a town centre initiative.
Town centre?
Yes, a town centre initiative, which will be in a demised area or a demarked area
Okay.
with a line round it, and that's where the funding is generated from and is also then spent. So the idea is it's a town centre initiative to bring footfall primarily back into the town centre. I think we've seen a decline in footfall in Macclesfield town centre since M&S have moved to Barracks Mill. I've spoken anecdotally to a number of retailers and also the Grosvenor Centre, and they've said that they've seen footfall decline, and it's all about generating footfall back in the town centre with activities and events to amplify, as I say, what the town council are doing.
Thank you. Can I make a comment here?
Absolutely.
So it is this primary central activity is in the town and nowhere else.
That's usually what
As usual.
the bid levy payers would want to see. They want to see the activity in the area where they're making a contribution to that large amount of money for the activity to be close to there. Obviously they'll see an increase in their spend.
Okay.
Councillor Bennett, wait, and Councillor Rose.
Do you have any figures on footfall for the other towns, how that's increased? Because I know certainly when we have an event in Macclesfield, a free event, and a free bus service organised by the town council, footfall can double. Other town councils are following the same model. Do you have any evidence of increased footfall from the other towns?
I haven't brought that today, I'm sorry, but I'm aware, excuse me, I'm aware they do increase, especially when there's a particular activity going on, such as crazy races in Stockport. If you'd like me to share some of that, I can make that available to Laura.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Wilson.
Yes, my next question really is about the involvement of the town council in the process, not just in the feasibility study if we do agree to go ahead, but in the actual bid itself. I am vice chair of Cheshire East Council's Economy and Growth Committee, so I was very much involved in the crew bid. And because of the arrangements for paying for a bid, and the town council not owning any property in the town, after all the significant amount of work that went into that bid, there isn't a single representative from the town council on the actual bid board going forward. So my question is, how will the town council and elected councillors representing their residents be involved in the whole of the process, including if a bid is successful?
Yeah, well, already at this stage we invite councillors to our meetings. I think we might have invited yourself to a couple of our meetings. Obviously Laura and Abby come along as well sometimes. So to get that feedback, we try and be engaged as possible. Going forward, if I compare to the Wilmslow bit, we've got Mark Goldsmith, who is obviously a representative of Cheshire East and Wilmslow Town Council. He comes to all of our meetings. We've got Charles Jarvis, who is on the Cheshire East Councillor. He's actually our vice chair of the Wilmslow bit.
Charles Jarvis is an officer.
Yeah, he's actually a deputy chair of the bid. And then we've also got another officer, Jo Wise, who you may know from Macclesfield Developments in the past. She also attends the meetings as well. So we've got a number of people who do attend. And we open it up in Wilmslow to as many people who would like to come from an observational point of view. I don't think there's any surprises or hidden agendas at all in what's trying to be achieved. And it's trying to collaborate, I think, with already the wonderful work that's already been done in town centres.
Councillor Barber.
Thank you for that. So, I mean, you touched on the levy.
Yes.
Are you confident that the additional levy, obviously, we've seen a lot of the local town centre businesses are struggling as it is. Are you confident that the additional levy is going to be affordable for them, or do you feel that it could not just end up being an additional cost? How can we measure the value for money that they'll be getting? And the second question, we'll probably be right about a big issue of homelessness in the town centre. Bids have got, in some places, a bit of a reputation for just basically shoving the homeless away and saying that's not our problem anymore. How confident can we be that we're going to be making sure we're being empathetic and supportive of the homeless in the town centre, because it is becoming quite a growing issue at the moment?
Okay, I'll take the first question. With regard to the percentages and the costs, if we have a business that's got a rateable value of around £15,000, that can be equivalent to sort of £3 a day-ish in terms of a cost to that business. So we feel that is affordable in terms of a bid levy. It seems to be acceptable in other locations. As I say, Stockport generates £480,000 a year from various small businesses. And if I pick the Underbanks area that was, with great respect to Stockport, it was a bit of a grot spot. We've seen that emerge now as a thriving area within Stockport, with a completely different, vibrant environment in the evenings, and the evening economy has picked up considerably. So I think we may have some areas in Macclesfield that you feel are a bit unloved, if we call it that, and they will emerge and come forward as these things take time. It's been 7 years in Stockport. It's been a long time. It's on its second generation of bid now, so it's not an immediate overnight solution. But I suppose, from my point of view, having seen the wonderful jobs they do, and working with the councils, they do become a little bit transformational. With regard to the homelessness concern that you have, it's about working with the third sectors and the charities to be able to link up with them as to what is the best solution for everyone. In Stockport, there's the Wellspring Centre, which is a homeless residency, if I call it that, near the Robinson's Brewery, and that was formed by Stockport Council in partnership with a charity, and that's like an overnight stay location for those who find it challenging and were sleeping on the streets, and they now stay overnight in that facility.
So I'm just going to briefly summarise it. I do have one question from me. I will bring in Councillor Hill in a second. So I think I've heard questions about governance and the continuing involvement of the town council, and councillors in particular. Question about additionality in terms of what benefit comes in addition to what the town council provides at the moment. Question about value for money, whether it's affordable to businesses in the town. So my question for Councillor Hill would be about the money you're raising is about 275,000. What does it actually cost to run this?
There will be some running cost, and there will be a bid manager who comes at a salary. That's what we have in Wilmslow, but it's a part-time role, so it's not a full-time role. So they work 3 or 4 days a week, so it's not an overburden to the cost of running it. And also also in Stockport, because there was a greater levy amount raised there, we had an administrator who picked up quite a bit of work as well as having the bid manager. That's the level of overhead really.
That's useful. I understand that. Councillor Hill?
In your experience of previous bids, have you seen it usual that a business group appoints a preferred partner and then asks the town council for cash?
Yeah, we had Stockport Vision, which is a business group that we set up. It was very much like we've done with Macclesfield Means Business. And there was a few of us who did that. We had the same idea as what I'm proposing here, which is it's a template, if you like, of a proposal. And what we did there was we did our own research of the rough area where it might be. Then we went to 3 parties on a sort of a scoping exercise. We then took that to Stockport Council, and Stockport Council were very supportive because they wanted to see Stockport town centre change from the situation it was in. Mersey Way was in administration as a shopping centre at that time. I don't know if you've been to Stockport recently. There's the Stockport Exchange office development right next to the station. There's been a wonderful bus and transport interchange that they've put in. They've been quite bold in their ambition, and they've done extremely well out of it. And they have supported the bid from the outset, really. So I think that's where we go with these things. We tend to work with the councils who are supportive.
Any other questions, councillors? I think we've given that thorough consideration and thought. If we're minded, it's clearly the proposal that we have in front of us, the request is to fund the feasibility study, and the cost is, to read more than right, £8,320 plus VAT, what we're being requested to do. So that would be the proposal. I think we're content to move to a vote on this.
Chair, what was the question?
So the question is, we've been asked to approve and recommend the recommendation on the report to fund the feasibility study for the bid process for the sum of £8,320 plus VAT.
I'm just, again, this is a comment, I would just like to say, I like the idea, but it's as long as we could think it's going to be a long-term idea, this is not going to be tomorrow or next year.
Yeah. Do you mind if I answer that question? The process that we'll go through now, if it were to be voted through successfully, would be there'd be a 3-month period of some consultation and engagement, as I mentioned, with retailers, with stakeholders, with charities, to see if a bid would be the right idea for Macclesfield. The next stage after that, if that was found to be the case, and the community thought it would be a good idea, it would probably then take a further 9 to 12 months for a bid proposal then to be formulated with a business plan, to then to go to a vote and canvass further the businesses in the area.
Councillor Hutchison.
I'm finding it very difficult to, having the information I've got in front of me, looking at the Knutsford bid, to see anything here that's not covered by, because ourselves, I'm the town centre manager, I'm in the town centre recovery working group working with local businesses, and the work we've been doing with local businesses ourselves, and looking at the exemplar from Knutsford, got the ideas about better roads, public transport, car park. If that's where the recommendations are coming from, they seem pretty obvious. And to pay that amount of money to come up with such obvious conclusions seems to me not a good use of public money.
Councillor.
I agree with Councillor Hutchinson. I don't think it's good use of public money. I absolutely love, I wasn't born in Macclesfield, but I love Macclesfield. And I'm so proud of being a town councillor and, representing my friends and neighbours, but also contributing, and the wonderful staff we have here. run all those events and we'd spent a long time and we spoke to people throughout COVID. We supported local businesses, we support local charities, third sector, we muck in, we roll our sleeves up, we get girl for Britain room, and I can't, in all honesty, put my hands on my heart and say, well, I'm going to give you £8,000 to pay a couple of people to go round and state the obvious, and I can't see them doing anything different to what we're doing already, and we're volunteers.
So am I.
It's a no from me, I'm afraid. Try all those against, Joe.
Governance of the town council is not my forte. I'm not quite sure where we get to with this.
Nobody's.
Nobody's proposed.
Nobody's
What's
proposed.
happened? Yeah, if someone else has any
So
amendment.
I've had any proposals, I'm just checking that our
So,
councillor.
I'm not proposing, but I would like to try and attend a Macbean's business
Yes, of
meeting,
course.
see the whites of your eyes,
Yeah, of course.
because it's not a huge sum of money, but you know, looking at the members, I'm surprised that the group wasn't able to get the cash themselves.
Yeah, I dealt with that with Stockport, and I propose funding it ourselves as a business. We're Orbit Developments. That's my business. So we own commercial property. We own it in Stockport, and I put it to the Vision Stockport panel that I would be prepared to front the money to pay for the feasibility study. And at that time, they considered that was an undemocratic process. So I was told to withdraw my application, and they went for the Stockport Council route instead, which took about a further 6 to 9 months.
But in my mind, if a few of us could get to the next board meeting as an observer, see if there is actual, you know, from the people themselves, if there is interest in this scheme, and we come away from that meeting a little bit more content, and I think we could look at this in 2 months' time.
So I have a proposal from councillor, the suggestion at this stage to defer the decision to seek and attend the meeting. I presume that would be those involved in town centre recovery group. Would be the obvious route to take. Councillor Wilson?
Well, my view here is that the Town Centre Recovery Working Group should have been involved in this, should have been engaged in it more than has happened so far. I mean, I've just been recently involved in an organisation that rented a shop in the town centre, and the rateable value of that property was significantly high. It was like £29,000 rateable value for a small shop in the town centre. So that would actually be a cost of £2,190 for an independent trader just to go towards bid costs for something that most traders are getting already for free, because our town council has done a significant amount of work. I want to see what a bid would add value rather than do the same, because more of the same is just more of the same. I mean, the Town Centre Recovery Working Group, I would love it if some of the individuals here would come along to the Town Centre Recovery Working Group, and Mayor, Chair, you know as well as I do that we've tried to engage with people quite significantly over this. Our Town Centre Recovery Working Group was, apart from the fact that town centres are already struggling, COVID or, you know, almost put the nail in the coffin. I mean, we already have a Town Centre Recovery Working Group. We're already working with a load of independents. We're already doing a lot of the stuff already. I mean, it's too soon, as far as I'm concerned, to pay £8,320 plus VAT to do a feasibility study on stuff we're doing already. So I think a meeting between the Town Centre Recovery Working Group, Macbean's business, and any other councils who are interested might help inform things a little bit more, and we can understand better. We can link our structure to have a Town Centre Recovery Working Group. It involves a number of people. What we have struggled to get, we've struggled to get retailers to come, which is disappointing, but it hasn't been for want of trying. So let's bring everyone together with our structure that we've got together with. I mean, the one thing it isn't talked about here that I can see is property and housing in the town centre. I think town centres, if we're going to meet the targets the government is proposing for improving housing, improving the availability of housing and the affordable housing that we really need, we're going to need to also build in the town centre. And it's something that, Chair, you and I have discussed quite a bit. So my proposal is to move this on, to give us perhaps more information to make a more informed decision will be that the Town Centre Recovery Working Group meet with Matt Mead's business or representatives thereof, including any other interested councillors, and we have a further discussion about it, so that I think all parties can understand people's positions better than perhaps we feel we do at the moment.
Thank you, that's a really helpful suggestion.
I'll second that.
So seconded, sorry,
It's a question really. It's, in the literature it said that Matt Means business has been there since 2019.
Yeah.
Have you ever attended any of the Town Centre Working Group meetings?
Not to my knowledge, no. I wasn't aware of their
Why not?
frequency.
Why haven't you been involved previously or earlier? Or have you been involved?
I wasn't aware we were able to. Sorry, I've only liaised with Laura and with Abby at the meetings, and there's never been an invitation to attend, so I didn't know whether they were closed meetings or open meetings.
There has been a meeting, so it has been taken to attend. Well, let's move on.
Sorry.
Let's make the meeting happen, because I think that is something that is worthwhile us doing. Chair.
So I think we have a useful proposal from Councillor Wilson, seconded Councillor Farmer, and we suggest Councillor take that to the vote, if that's okay. Those in favour? Right. Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it's been a long discussion, but I think it's a worthwhile thing. I think what we should all look at is a collective passion to
Indeed.
make the town a better place. And I know digress by saying that we love to build some social housing.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. So, go back to the agenda, councillors. I go back to the planning committee. If I've got my order right. And we're just asked to note the planning committee minutes. We are happy to do so. Any matters arising in the minutes? There are any. The services committee. Same thing, we're asked to note many matters arising which may come to the town in the future. On the agenda. Yeah, we'll take that later. Finance committee, asked to note any matters arising. I believe the two matters arising covered in the budget proposal. If I'm right, it neatly takes us to item 8.3, which is the CCTV. And I'm correct, Clark, that they have could not attend
No,
tonight.
they can't attend meetings in December.
Councillor Farmer.
Can I just say, I think that sounds absolutely ridiculous, and given that we are meant to be a key stakeholder of CCTV, this is a pattern that has been recurring for a very long time, and I don't feel that we are getting anything from them, and I'm quite disappointed that they're now telling us that we don't need to attend the meetings.
Can I get one update, Chair?
Well, if I take Councillor Hutchison and Councillor
We're just asking for an update. Said that the underpass camera will be fixed by the 9th.
Yeah, that's what I'm waiting to update you. Yes, it is. It is fitted, and I got an email saying that they were watching nefarious behaviour, and they were off to report it to the police. So that is now on the underpass at the Trot Lodge.
Councillor Gill.
I wasn't here at last full council. Were CCTV here?
Yes,
Yes.
And that was in October.
yes.
So I've been a councillor since May of last year, and so it would appear not only do they not attend meetings in December, they don't attend meetings in any month other than October.
They have been asked they've been asked to attend meetings since June. Didn't attend June, didn't attend July, they didn't attend September. Jim attended October. Made clear we wanted them to attend every meeting, or if you're missing a meeting, having at least attended some before. You know, so.
Okay.
And I asked for a report that gave case studies as well as the stats. And I was told the best report I could get would be a blank piece of paper, because that would mean there was no issues. To which Sandy, obviously the mayor's been copied into all this, saying we want the statistics and we want the case studies. I had to chase and remind to get that report the day the papers went out. So it's a job of chasing,
honest and disrespectful to the work that you've put in to chase them up. You shouldn't have to be chasing them up time and time again when we have an agreement with them, and I think it's really disappointing that this is just continuing that.
Can I make a proposal, councillors, given that the last time the direction to me was to write to inform the mayor that I do so again, I write to the Director of Police of Cheshire East Council and the Chief Executive on the basis of the principle is that if we are funding part of Cheshire East's work is that we receive reports of the benefits of the investment of our residents. So my suggestion and proposal to you to do that.
Happy to second that.
Happy to take a vote on that just now. Right, so I'm writing to them. Merry Christmas, I'll write it before Christmas.
Can I,
Perfect.
can I just say, I'm really pleased that that camera's been moved, and I would like to see reports on that camera, because there's been quite serious crimes committed underneath that underpass, which is why we asked you. So we would like some feedback on that, and if not, we'll be asking the police about it, because that's really important to our residents. They've asked for that camera to be moved. We've managed to get it put there, and we need that feedback. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, councillors. So, the Silk Museum, I believe Emma's unfortunately able to come tonight.
Yes, it's the same night as the volunteers' Christmas party, so she wanted to stay and thank them. I'm sure you know all appreciate it. She said it was awesome.
Councillor Hutchinson.
But just say in contrast to the previous topic, how good this report was. What an impressive variety of inclusive events that the Silk Museum puts on. Shows you, I think, when we fund that and you get a report like that, which is brilliant in contrast to the previous CCTV one. That's the point.
Sandra Rose was there. Yeah.
Apologies, I'm going to go back to the last item because Town Council Town Clerk's reminded me of something in terms of that principle of payment. Did you want to brief the councillors? So apologies.
Yeah, so recently the clerks of four of the biggest councils, Crewe, myself, Congleton and Nantwich, met to discuss writing we called it a heads of terms, but it's basically what we expect from Cheshire East when, you know, as a council you decide to fund something. So that will be brought to council and kind of agreed is something that other councils might buy into, but it will be things as simple as reporting and, you know, just this, you know, we are a customer and, you know, that kind of to sort of dictate the relationship, because as you know, Cheshire East come more and more for funding, so to have a kind of agreement that you know, that because it's something that's not just us, it's other town parish councils feel. So I'll keep you updated on that.
Thank you, Town Clerk. That's a bit I did want to make sure councillors are aware of, so there's other work being done on that. So in terms of Silk Museum, I think we're happy to receive a note report. It is very comprehensive. Would it be fair to say, council, we can commend the Silk Museum for the quality of the report? And yeah, I do love the way we're starting to bring the town into the museum more. I think that's where museums live. Okay, moving on, the banking proposal. Would you take us down?
Yeah, so the proposal is just about who the signatories will be on the new bank account, so it's all included in the report. And once that's approved, we can move that forward.
I'd be happy to approve the signatories.
Yes, I'll move the action to approve the list of signatories and internet banking users as indicated in agenda item 9.1.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson. Seconded. Councillor Berry, please report. All in favour? Financial regulations.
So now have produced, well they did it earlier in the year, new financial regulations for councils, which we've adopted basically because and also because I think we kept adding to ours, so it got a little bit more confusing. So this should streamline it more. So this is completely new, but has the same things, just written in a more cohesive way. I ran it past the internal auditor, and he wouldn't approve them, but he said he would stress test them in March or April. But he did give me a couple of tips on things like to include in it. So there is things like we councillors have to, and finance committee will have to come in once a year and test our systems, that kind of thing. But everything's in there laid out. So it's just to review and adopt the policy. If there's any questions or
Are we content with reviewing the adopted policy?
Yeah, second.
Thank you very much. Can you take a vote on that, councillors? Thank you very much. So, budget. Do you want to comment on that, Councillor Thompson?
I don't think anything's there, except of course the discussion that we had about remembers the large screen, which is the amendment. I personally think it's a very good suggestion that we do trial that, because it's the remembrance has been growing in size, growing in importance to people, and so that the geography of the area means that lots of people will be there but not actually be able to hear or see. And so I think it would be useful to try it every year and see if it's well received. It is a large sum of money, we recognise that, but I think it is a very important day, it's a very special day, it can be, so it would be very good to see if it's what the feedback is. More inclusive, yeah, potentially, yeah. I don't really have anything much else to say.
Councillor Hewitt?
Is there a comment I can make?
Sorry?
It's doable. It's needable, if that's the word. And I don't see why, if you can consider the cost, it's a doable and much needed thing. It has been done before, smaller, but if it needs to be larger, then so it must be.
Thank you for that. That's really helpful. Comments, questions on the budget?
Well, I'm happy to move the budget because I think it's important for anybody who is will be watching this afterwards when it goes on our Facebook page. The budget itself has gone through quite a lengthy process already, and that it starts with us and then it goes to the various service committees and then it comes back to us. I think that when you look at the things we're going to be increasing spending on, it's all through events, increased communications, festoon, Christmas lights, festoons, etc. They look great again this third year. They still look brilliant. Town Ranger service, floral displays, projects and events promoting Macclesfield, community events and parades. It's all part of what we do best in terms of supporting our residents, particularly those who are vulnerable and struggling with financial situation, and bringing footfall into the town. I think the remembrance thing, we had a discussion about this actually on Remembrance Sunday, because certainly my experience of going to Remembrance over many, many years, it increases every year, the size of the event, and younger people coming along, you know, the uniform services, young people there, and that encourages me that, you know, Remembrance will continue to be an important event. We did have at one stage a screen. We have done it in the past, but it was one screen and it didn't quite serve the purpose for everyone to see it. So we may have to think a bit bigger, but in terms of the funding we've allocated to that, it may be we can have 2 or 3 screen points. I mean, unless you're actually by the cenotaph, you can't hear, when we all know that. So I think it's worth us trying to improve people's experience, particularly bearing in mind how many people now attend compared to in the early days of Remembrance.
Thank you, Councillor. There was 2 parts in that. I think you're right. Everyone scrutinised this supports the work of the Town Council and continued challenges rush to a vote. Is there any other comments? Just to remind myself to behave. Right. Other than that, can I suggest we vote on the budget, please? All those in favour? Thank you very much. Thank you for that. And thank you for the guidance, Councillor Gould. The internal audit report, just to note that.
Yes, just to note it. One of the things you might have noticed or start to see is and this isn't something we have to do, but there was a suggestion that we link our agendas for our committees to our strategic plan, which we did for services. So we'll carry on and let you have a think, because it can make the agenda look a little bit cluttered too. But we'll do that for services and for finance, and then see if we want to do it for the rest of the committees. I suppose planning would be quite, it's going to be a limited amount of linking it, but and then whether we want to link for all council, so we'll just see how that goes.
Councillor Wilson.
Well, it's my recollection that we introduced that a few years ago. We've always done it with services. I remember having a discussion about it.
What we did was we laid it out in the way, in the order, but we
Yes.
didn't actually put the link in, i.e. he wants to know. So there's now a link saying this is linked to this strategic aim. So we've done it in the same order, so we understood it, but he was like, and it's not, we don't have to, but, so yeah. We can, if people are looking at it electronically, they can click straight on and see that it links to the,
It's a hyperlink.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think just my comment would be, I think better get that part about linking to
Yeah.
it's like doing my day job.
Yeah.
I think there are some useful recommendations about picking up that with Villian,
Yes.
which we are aware of and deal with how we deal with Green Mark as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Great.
we're going to come back to the finance committee at some point in the year.
Yes, if everything's been implemented,
So we're happy to do the report.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. We move to South Park Road.
yes, so as you can see, this report structures out and is completely transparent about how the decision was come to, and so what we have, and we're at a stage now where we will approve a contractor, or you guys can approve a contractor today, and then we are waiting for an agreed maximum price, which we hope to get soon, but it means we will have to have a special meeting in January to approve that. So there's two decisions to be made there, and it actually ties in a little bit with Cheshire's assets and getting a licence for works, because it's taken us a little bit longer than we've hoped, but we did have a site visit last week, and because there'll be significant, well, there will be some disruption to the park. Obviously Anne's wanting to be there to make sure, obviously they're sort of looking after the park and everything. So it's moving forward, basically. So you have two proposals there, and the main bulk of the report was just to show how we do the procurement, and that it was how the decision was reached.
Thank you. Clearly, I've led to that and wanted to present it to the councillors. My comment before you take any questions on it is, the way the contractor was selected, I think, was the way I expect done. This is the open transparency. The winning contractor we are selecting, what we did was check what we were proposing in terms of how long it will take to build the pavilion was feasible, and our design team have confirmed that. Has that been a difference in the price that they submitted? And we believe that contractor Jones has the capacity to build the pavilion as quickly as he said we can. Provided they get a clear winner, because they're the Jews. And so I think, and the other part is that the agreed maximum price, just remind councillors, it was a two-stage tender process. You appoint the contractor after stage one. The contractor then tenders all the subcontractor packages. We then agree an agreed maximum price. So the council pays no more than the agreed maximum price, and then any savings are split between the two parties. And so it's
later on in January is better than earlier because of the other issues going on. We do have a services committee in the diary for the 27th of January, which is the last Monday in January. We could fit it round that, but probably before. It's a one agenda item, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we could probably perhaps do it at probably 7 on the 27th, and then those of us on services could just stay and continue with the services committee meeting.
So I have a proposal for that date. Are we content, councillors, for that?
Very sad.
Yeah. Can I have a second? Second. Okay. A vote on that one, please. 27 it is. Right. Looking forward to it already. Next item, parks and play areas.
Yes, sure. So as you know, there's a budget of £100,000, 60,000 has already been approved for the play area. In meeting with ANZA, they are looking to change significantly some of West Park's equipment. It's been there for a very, very long time, and in particular the climbing castle. So at the moment they have 25,000 towards a new climbing castle. They've been out to tender and they're not getting like for like. It's coming back sort of not as showstoppy as they'd like. So they the proposal is that if they could up that to 50,000, there would be a real showstopper at that park. And then the suggestion was a further 15,000 for Titherington, which would go to the second, Sandwich Drive, which didn't need as much work doing to it as Holcombe. Sandwich Drive was newer, was newer, that it didn't actually need equipment, etc. overhauling.
Yeah,
So
we can improve and refund. Thank you. I could only think of one word, but I didn't want to say it.
I know the word.
Whereas Holcombe needs to be completely changed.
So I presume Councillor Gilman, you would support of that principle for Titherington?
Yeah. I mean, the one in West Park, which in my head, weirdly, has always been pirate ship, which apparently it's not, so I don't know where I got that from. They need to replace, it has been, and that wasn't kind of part of our request, but this is what Antrim said. And they have, ANZA have £25,000 towards it, and apparently £25,000 does not go very far when you're talking about park equipment. So they need the 50 to replace what is currently there with something of a similar stature, something equally smashing. And I have absolutely no issue with that at all. I think it's a really good idea. I think it's really important that the bigger parks, it's recognised, well, by me, maybe not by other people, that West Park, although it's in Titherington Ward, isn't used solely by people who live in Titherington Ward. It's used in the same way that Victoria Park and Windmill Park. So I think it's really important that we make sure that they have things that are available to lots of children, as many children as possible, and as good as we can possibly get. And then obviously, Holcombe needs completely, in Titherington, Holcombe and Sandwich Drive needs some work doing to it. So yeah,
That's helpful.
I think it's great. But obviously it's not up to me.
Well, I'm not going to tell you it's a partnership.
Yeah.
So we have a proposal there to increase the fund in Titherington Ward to 75,000 and to fund half of the cost of whatever falling ship was in West Park. It's probably the best way to describe it. Are we happy with that, councillors? Councillor Wilson?
I think it's a continuation of our approach to this, which I think has paid dividends for everybody, that we make good investments in the big parks that lots of people use, the destination parks, and then we actually improve the smaller parks for local children. I mean the changes we made to Ashgrove Park, for example, on our ward, much smaller children use that, and they can go to what they call Little Park on their own. But if they want to go to South Park, you know,
Yeah.
someone needs to go with them. And I think this balance we've got of doing big projects in the big parks that are used by lots of people, but at the same time doing smaller projects to improve sort of like housing estates, sort of residential type parks, is a really good balance. Sharing the funds that we've got around for those sort of projects.
Absolutely.
Can I have a proposal, please?
Um,
Yes. Thank you. A second?
Yeah.
And are we happy to vote before I go to Brett then? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just my comment on that is, yes, I think Parks and Michael seemed a great ask. Like my eldest son and his girlfriend moved here about 6 months ago. We couldn't believe the quality of facilities, particularly the parks that we have. So I think you're right, Councillor Wilson, that's hard work and well done. Yes?
Now, if we follow through, as Councillor Wilson said, it'll be central next time. So it's worth thinking now, because for next year's budget to decide what you might want there. So I think it was the one at High Street that was done. So it's probably not that one you need doing, but just it's central and then it's back to east.
One at High Street, probably tidy up.
Yeah. So it's probably worth thinking about that now.
Sounds a thorny we could probably do with replacement of High Street. So I think, thank you.
Yes.
You reminded the two of us because we forget.
I'll remind you.
That's very kind of you. Members item, Councillor Barber.
Thank you. So every year on the 25th of November is White Ribbon Day, which is an international day where everyone comes together to basically raise awareness of male violence against women and girls. So White Ribbon is the internationally recognised organisation. It's a charity that does a lot of work across the world. It started in Canada to basically it have a pledge, which is to promise to never use, excuse or remain silent about men's violence against women and girls. I've been an ambassador of the White Ribbon organisation for many years. I proposed an item on Cheshire East Council many years ago for them to become a credible supporter, and I think this year there was a really big push nationally, especially this year, to do more. So this year's theme was It Starts With Men, and it was basically to make it clear that from the perspective of males, boys, etc., that we've all got to do our bit. So what being a supporter organisation will do, it's a one-off fee of £175, which is, I hope you'll agree, quite good value for money to become a supporter of a really important charity. And a lot of town councils, organisations, small, medium and large, do a lot of work. Compton Town Council, for example, is quite big on this, which I really commend. And I think it's really important that we, the Town Council, are sending a strong message that we support a really important cause and support women and girls nationally, internationally, etc. And it's always a point that gets made when you talk about White Ribbon, as it doesn't include all types of violence. It's what I just want to say is, obviously, this isn't either or, it's obviously about everything. This is a very focused campaign, and I think we would all agree that it's important that we're always raising awareness of every kind of abuse, etc. But I think White Ribbon is a great starting point for us to send a really strong message. Hopefully next year we can do sort of like an awareness raising day on White Ribbon Day, like the Town Council and Hamilton do, and being a supporting organisation I think is a really good first step, so I hope colleagues can support that.
Thank you, Councillor Barber. Questions, thoughts? Councillor
Well,
Wilson.
you just heard me ask for the figures on domestic violence from the local police. Just on hearsay, I've spoken to an ex-police officer in Macclesfield who said that domestic violence is probably coming up for a bad time for domestic violence at Christmas and New Year. And the police commissioner also said the same thing, that sadly over Christmas time, violence, particularly by men, is quite apt. Like two men are posing about quite a bit a second, so but I think it's really important thing that we can get involved in and more it gets highlighted, the more we do to highlight it, the better.
Thank you, Curtis and Hodges. So I'll second that proposal in a second, but just to be clear that at least, yeah, I'll bring in a second. This had my support as well.
I was just going to make a comment that we might want to use the very powerful video by the Mayor of Yorkshire, Tracy Craven, which is really interesting to it sort of shows how comments by men can sort of escalate. It's a very, very powerful video. I saw it was released at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was released for this. But it's something that I would encourage people to watch because it shows how a sort of little comment and then the next step and how it can become stalking at the end. It's very powerful. But I would fully recommend and hope we could use resources used elsewhere to be able to create more awareness of this
Thank you.
issue.
Thank you for making me aware of that.
So just to come back on that, so on the resources point, White Ribbon campaign have a full bank that we would have access to, so that'd be really good. In terms of, you raised a really good point there about the sort of language and terminology, that was one of their big things this year, actually making people aware that it's not just physical violence, it can be, in one of the examples that we used at work was going on a train at night when it's dark, there's not many people on a carriage, and getting too close towards a woman who might feel uncomfortable, or a girl who might feel uncomfortable, and it's not just about physical violence or, you know, that kind of traditional view that a lot of people have, it's about the language we use being inclusive and just showing that respect towards women and girls, because especially at night we see it a lot, especially as we come up to Christmas when it's darker, it gets worse. And I always use the example of Rebecca, my fiance. I do not want her walking around Macclesfield late at night sometimes because it is just awful. And I'm glad that we got the camera down at the underpass now because she works very near to that. So it's really important to me that there's a joined up approach, which hopefully this will help.
Thank you, Ms. O'Donnell.
Can I just say, and I don't say this very often, I'm really impressed that two men have proposed and seconded this, thank you, because that's really important. They're a good role model to other men. I've had friends and neighbours who've been the victim of domestic violence, and like you say, it starts off with a bit of a row, maybe with a bit of a joke, over a drink, and then it escalates and it can get very bad. And I've took people in overnight as a result of domestic violence. I've took people in off the street as well. And I think it's really important that we think about our behaviour and how it's like, say, it's just the coach is empty and you go and sit next to a woman. How does she feel? Would you do? I've stood up on a train and said to lads, would you speak to your mother like that? You know, and I think I've got age on my side because I'm not frightened about walking around Macclesfield at all, although I do welcome the CCTV in the underpass. And I have actually walked young girls home from town because they've been a little bit frightened. They thought someone's been following them, and we've walked them home. So I'm not everybody's mother and I can't walk everybody home. And it's not just a token thing, wearing a white ribbon, it's a whole campaign. I hope I have to work with the World AIDS Day with the red ribbons before we're collected for that. And I know when you I've still got hundreds of red ribbons